Hello, welcome to Naresh Technologies. In this ASP.NET video session, we will continue working with data binding operations in MVC. In the last video, we discussed about how to handle communication with database, access the data and display the data by using scaffold templates. Now, in this session, we will continue the example of implementing all other operations like edit, delete and insert. In the previous example, we just learnt about how do we return the list of all products. Let us take a overview of what we done. We created two model classes in the models. One is product. This product model class is mapping to the products table and products context. It is communicating with the database. It is using a connection string and a DB set products table to interact with the table in database. Now, we created a controller by name products controller. In the products controller, we have index action. Into that index action, we are returning the list of all products. We added a view by using scaffold template. That view is a list type template. We added a view and that view is a list type template, so that it can perform iteration over the collection and print the list. So, the view is ready. We will once run this and see. You can see now the products index is returned with a template which have several links like create new and edit, details and delete. As of now, these links are not functional because just we created a index action. All these links need to be implemented now. Let us achieve one by one how to handle delete, edit, details and create. First, already we have the list of all the products. Let us implement details. I will once click on this details link and see what it is expecting in the details link. When I click on details link, you can see as of now you will get this 404 status code because it is expecting a controller called products. In the products controller, an action details. So, with the product ID passed into the details, so that it can return the detail of that particular product. So, we have a products controller, but there is no details action. We need to implement this. Let us see how we can implement the details action. So, let us go to the products controller. In the products controller, I am adding another action. So, view result, it should return a view by name details, it is the name expected, and into the details action I am passing an ID which will be the product ID. So, now I need to search for this ID product in the collection of all products and return that to view. So, whenever details action is invoked, we need to search for that particular ID passed and we need to return. Now, we have several technical issues if the ID is not passed or if the ID related product is not found. Then to avoid the exceptions, we will put some error codes. Those error codes will tell what the technical issue is. And to use error codes in the program, you can add a library using system.net. This system.net will provide some HTTP status codes. By using those status codes, you can handle the exception and you can show various error codes and messages. Let us see. So, first step what we will do here is we will create a status code for verifying whether the ID is provided or not. I will make this ID as nullable, integer nullable ID. Now, I will check the condition. If ID is equal to null, that means the ID is not provided. So, you are invoking details action individually and ID is not provided into the details action, and ID is mandatory to provide because we need to search for that particular ID product. Then we need to show an error status code saying that it is not a proper request. So, I have to return a status code. In that case, we have to change our view result to action result. Why? Because if you are returning a view, then it can be view result, but I have to return a status code, I have to return a view. If my conditions are satisfied, then I will return a view. If not, I will return status code. In that case, an action method can return various types of values only when it is defined as action result. So, I changed the view result to action result. If ID is equal to null, then it should return a HTTP status code, a HTTP status code result, and that HTTP status code result should use an HTTP status code. The HTTP status code I will define as some bad request, that is the HTTP status code, and this bad request can have any message. I will define the message as product ID required. This message I will define. So, this must be a new HTTP status code returned to that particular action. So, whenever the details action is invoked and ID is not passed, then it will return a new HTTP status code, and the status code text will be bad request. So, that means it says the code will be bad request and the text will be product ID required. Okay. Now, we will write another logic. If ID is provided, I need to search for that ID product inside the collection. How you can search for the ID related product inside the collection? So, DB is the context object. In that we have products table. Products table is the DB set which contains and retrieves the list of all products. In that I need to search for that particular ID related product. If the value that you are passing is related to a primary key field, then you can search for the value in primary key field by using a function find. Find is an entity function which is used to search for any value in only primary key field. If you are searching for value in any another field, then you can use other functions like single, first or default. If you are searching for a value in primary key field, then you can simply do that by using find. So, I need to search for ID. So, it will search for that ID related product, and if the ID related product is found, then I have to get the result and store. So, we know that the result of this statement will be a product. So, that means you are searching for this particular ID product inside this product table. If found, it will return a product. So, I have to store in a product type. I will create a product object so that the value will be stored inside it. So, now we have another condition in the same action. You provided product ID, it searched for that particular product ID, but that ID related product not found, that means deleted or not available. Then again it shows an exception. Instead of that, now we will check another condition. if product is equal to null, that means if the product you are searching is not available, then what it has to do is it should return a new HTTP status code result, and it will be HTTP status code as not found, and I will give a message, right, like product not found, that is the message. So, details is checking two conditions now, is ID provided or not. If not, then it will return bad request, and if provided, then it will search for that ID product and return that product. If that ID related product is not available, that means if product is null, it will say not found. If it is found, then it should return a view. Into the view, we will pass the product object. That means if the product found, then I need to return that product to the view, so that view can display the product. Let us add a view to display the product. So, I will right click on details action, go to add view and select the view. View type is view name is details, and template, we have a details template, for which class the details template should be binded, that is product. So, you are passing the detail of a specific product, and to print the detail of that product, we have a template called details. Let us add this details. So, we have two actions defined in the controller. One is index, which is returning the list of all products, another one details, which is searching for your product and displaying that product details individually. Here we are handling some exceptions, we are showing some error status codes. Let us see. I will start with the index action. Now, we implemented details functionality. We will try out all the exceptions and status codes that we configured in the controller, whether it is going to return those status codes or not, right. Let us see. Initially, the index action is returning the list of all products. Now, in this index action, details is implemented. Now, directly first we will try to invoke the details action in the URL. I will access the details action, and I will not pass the ID which it is expecting. If I do not pass the ID, you can observe that the details action now returns a status code, say bad request, and the bad request says product ID required. Okay, I will enter the product ID, and if I entered the product ID, I am entering product ID some 5. If there is no product ID by name 5, then it should return another status code that says product not found, and I entered the product ID 4. If it is available, it should get that product information and display. So, we are creating a view to display the details of any specific product, and we are handling two important options. If ID not supplied, display bad request. If ID is provided and that ID related product not found, display 404 status, and if it is found, then display that product details. Now, when we go to index action, you can see this details link is implemented now. I click on details, it will get the detail of that product. We have back to list, it will get back to the list. Detail of the first product, you can get the detail of that first product and display, and back to list, it will get back to the list. So, we have implemented two functionalities. So, one is index, another one details. Now, let us see how we can implement the create functionality. So, create is responsible for accepting the data from the user and insert the data into the database. So, create has to be designed for two kinds of requests, one get, another one post. On get request, create needs to return a empty form, user fills the form and submits the form. When user submits, on post we need to collect the form data and we need to insert the data into the database through entity framework. Then let us see how to handle this. So, we need to implement create for two types of requests, get and post. On get request, it should return the form, and on post request, it should collect the data from the form and insert into the database. So, you can see create new link is there, and when I click on this, it will look for products create, which is not available. Let us design that action. I will go to the products controller. In the products controller, I am designing an action, public action result. I will make it as create. So, this create should return a view. I have to return a view. It is a view, but a view strongly binded with product type data, so that we can insert the data into the product table. So, how to add a view? Right click and add view. So, an MVC view, view name is create and template is create. You have a create template, and model class, this create should be for product. That means the create action is using a template create. It will read the properties from the product and it will use those properties for designing a form. So, add the create view. Let us see how this create view looks like. Already we have a link in index. Let us run this. Initially, create action is designed for get request, so that it will return an empty form for our data, so that we can enter the details in the form and submit. Let us see is that functionality successfully implemented or not, just returning an empty form. Now, I will click on the create new and you can see an empty form is available, and in this form we have the product name and price. Product ID is auto generated. Already we defined that product ID as an auto generated field in our database table. We need to enter the name and price, and this create is actually a submit button. So, when you hit this submit button, the page is posted. On post, we need to collect the details and use. We know two techniques. Generally in web, when you are submitting the details on post, the details are submitted into the form message body, and if the data is in form message body, then you can collect the data by using a name value collection. You can collect by using a name value collection, a name value collection. In MVC, form collection is a name value collection. It is responsible for reading the keys and returning their values. Here the keys are nothing but the properties of the model, and the values are the values you entered in the text boxes. So, whatever the data you submit, actually the product type data is having two properties, one is name, another one price. Whatever the data you submit, you can access the data from form collection. This form collection will use the name as key, another one as price as key. Form collection will use the price as key. So, whatever the values are passed into that name and price, they can be collected by using a form collection, so that we can insert into the table. Let us see. So, that means now we need to design the create action on post. How to design action on post? Let us go to the products controller, and here the create action on post. To define any action on post, we have to use the attribute HTTP post. On post, I am creating an action result. The name for action result is create. Create on post, it has to collect the data that is submitted through form. And if data is submitted on post request, then it is in a form message body. You can access that by using a form collection. So, the create is using a form collection. The form collection name I will give as FRM collection. There are various methods of collecting the data from form. We will discuss that in other sessions. Initially, I am using a form collection, and through that form collection you can access the properties of the model. That is, whatever the data entered in the text boxes, we can access that by using the form collection, and we can add into the table. Actually, to add into table, we have db dot products table dot, we have a function add. So, add function, you can observe it is expecting a product type entity. If it is expecting a product type entity, that means we need to collect, first we have to create a product type entity is equal to new product, and into this product we need to define name. The name is coming from a form collection and the key is name, and it is just a string type. And we have another product dot price, and form collection is collecting it. We need to convert to decimal because the price is a decimal type. So, convert to decimal. So, FRM collection, and the price value must be converted into decimal and stored. So, whatever the data is passed, submitted, you are collecting the data. So, by using this form collection, the name and value are collected by using form collection, they are stored in this product. Now, we can pass this product into the add function. So, we are adding this new product into the products table. After adding the product into products table, DB have to save changes. So, whatever the changes happened in the context, those changes need to be updated. After updating the changes, we will return. So, we will return redirect to action. We will redirect to an action called index. That means, after completing the insert operation, we will be redirected to the index. So, we will see whether it is implemented or not. That means, on get request, we are returning an empty form. On post request, we are collecting the form data and we are inserting into the table, and we are redirecting to index and displaying to just view whether the new record inserted or not. So, let us start with the index action. In index action, we have a create link that returns an empty form. Now, we designed this create action for both get and post requests. On get, it will return an empty form. On post, it will collect the form data and submits to the controller. Controller will insert that into the table and it will redirect to the index again. You see, I have 4 products here, and I will click on create new and empty. I will write some product name sunglasses, and I entered the price, and I click on create, and this record is inserted, and you can see this is updated into the index. So, now we created a controller action. So, where we can collect the data from the form and we can submit the data into the database. Now, there are several methods of collecting the data from the form and inserting that we will continue in our next session. Thank you.